Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. This is a special show we're doing today. It's something that we haven't done as of yet. But before we go into that, my name is George Coles. This is my tag team partner, Dangerous Danny Spivey.
Thank you. At least I got a pretty good character at the time. Gary Rhodes, everybody.
I'm talking
Thanks,
about
Sidote.
I'm talking about Skyscraper Spivey.
Well, I said thanks, Sidote.
Yeah.
How's your leg?
Ooh, feels better with the scissors in it.
Oh, good. Scissor said.
Anyway, what we're going to do this a little bit different than what we've done before. Normally we do our review shows during the week of wrestling and also DVD reviews and some of the under radar segments. This is going to be a new show called Heel Heat Top 10, and basically that's what it is. We're going to name a top 10 list and go through what we think. Now, if you guys have any opinions or anything you think we're doing wrong or somebody we left out, feel free to put it in the comments. Let us know. We may have just overlooked them. And being said with that, the first top 10 is going to be
managers. It's a lost art, really, because there's no great managers nowadays. So here's our top 10 right now.
Now, the first one I want to talk about is number 10. He's one of the few face managers that are on this list. Arnold Skaaland. He was the manager of Bruno Sammartino and also Bob Backlund during both of their WWE title runs. So basically he has about 15, 18 years of managing the world champion.
And that was a lot to be on a guy's shoulders back then too, because I mean, if Vince wasn't in the building, or Vince Senior,
Yeah.
you know, him being one of the top guys there, he was in charge.
And this was back in the time where they actually managed a guy, where they would make his bookings, they would handle his expenses, all that good stuff. And Arnold Skaaland, mostly you guys will remember him of our generation or younger as the guy that threw in the towel when Backlund lost the match to Iron Sheik. But sadly, there was a lot more to him than just that.
Yes, and a lot of the guys loved him to death. I know when he went into the Hall of Fame, I think it was Shane that put him in there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because, him and Shane McMahon were really close.
Well, you got to remember, he was working in the back when Shane was a little boy, too.
Yeah.
And then,
now we go off to number 9, Captain Lou Albano. One of the best tag team manager, actually, I will say it, the best tag team manager of all time. 22 tag team championships can't, it speaks for itself.
He managed everybody from the Wild Samoans, the Fuji, and what was Fuji's partner?
Oh shoot, I cannot remember now. If you would have said that,
Mr. Saito.
Yep.
Saito and Fuji. He managed to.
Orient Express. Before we even stopped, that was one of the best tag teams. I loved them guys. I thought they were great workers.
Managed the Pit Bulls, the British Bulldogs.
Mm-hmm.
The Islanders at first. Great guy, a great manager. Again, this is another guy that most of you will remember him for his face run in the 80s, but before that, he was one of the major heel managers in the Northeast in the 70s.
I said Orient Express, didn't I?
Yeah, you did say that.
I'm sorry, everybody. You didn't manage Orient Express.
That's okay. You can make mistakes, GR.
Yeah, pull to George.
Anyway, and then coming off of Captain Lou, another guy, one of the guys he actually managed, number 8 is Mr. Fuji. A guy who started with Demolition, managed Demolition, Don the Rock Morocco, Yokozuna, one of your favorite guys.
And he's a crossover guy too. He started off as a wrestler, hard as nails, some bitch, and went to being a cowardly manager. Sneaky and everything. Like the devious Mr. Fuji was what they really called him. That was like his whole title, and he pulled it off perfect. He wrestled like a manager.
And one of the best things I liked on the old Tuesday Night Titan show, he did a thing called Fuji Vice with Don the Rock Morocco. It was just hilarious. It was Tuesday Night Titans was an amazing show. I don't know why they don't do something like that now.
Well, they got 3 hours of Raw. They should put the first hour or something like that. That's just my opinion. But anyways, off subject. All right, our next guy, James E. Cornette. One of the best managers of all time, I think. Managed the Heavenly Bodies, Midnight Express,
The Dynamic
Dudes. Sorry. Also, Yokozuna,
Yeah.
Vader,
Owen Hart.
and a Bulldog. One of the best tag teams I think he ever had was those two. Owen and the Bulldog. Thought they worked great together.
Better than Owen and Yoko?
Owen and Yoko better. They're number 2. How about that?
There you go. But Cornette's a guy that's mostly known for his work with the Midnight Express in the NWA and other territories during the 90s. A tremendous guy, a tremendous mind for the business. He helped book. He booked in Smoky Mountain. He helped book in WWF. Did a little bit of booking in NWA. Had to book in TNA for a while. Had to book in Ring of Honor for a while. The sad thing about James E. Cornette is he's a little bit dated. He hasn't changed with the times. So he's going to be remembered for this generation as the crazy old guy, basically.
No, I think if he wants to stay in the business, he should stay away from the business for 5 years and just get back into it slower and just recycle himself. You know what I'm saying? And I think that would be better for him.
But I will say for the guy, when he did Ohio Valley Wrestling, he made a lot of stars that we are watching today.
Brock?
He made Brock, John Cena, Randy Orton. They all came up through there. Shelton Benjamin, Charlie Haas. I mean, a ton of guys came up under his watch that became really huge.
He was a brilliant manager.
And then from that, the next one, another brilliant guy, number 6, is Paul Bearer, a.k.a. Percy Pringle III. He started off as Percy Pringle, working mostly in the World Class Championship Wrestling territory. Was a heel manager, basically your garden variety heel. Tremendous manager there, one of the big managers they had. Then his career really took off when they brought him into the WWE and he became Paul Bearer, managing The Undertaker, ended up managing Kane, Mankind, and Big Van Vader as well. And an interesting point that you had about that was that Paul Bearer is more of his real life character because he's actually a mortician.
Well, he opened himself up more. When he was Percy Pringle, I've seen a lot of the videos and stuff like that. He really wasn't himself. And then when you could see once he became Paul Bearer, it just worked out perfect.
Oh yes, it did.
Oh my God.
That's for your Teddy Long impersonations. I brought a Paul Bearer out.
Oh, gross. But anyways, Paul Bearer was a genius, though. I love the work he did in the Attitude Era when he was separated. Actually, he was back with the Taker, and Kane and Austin had that little gimmick going on.
I like that every time he goes away, they kill him.
Exactly. He must be indestructible.
Kane even brought it up. I think he's still in the freezer we left him in.
Yeah. I just think that he was one of them guys that was from, he's lasted forever. If they brought him back out tomorrow, he would still get a pop. Okay, sorry. Our next guy is also from the Texas area, Mr. Gary Hart. Well, he's also an NWA.
What number was he, GR?
Number 5, sorry.
Gary Hart was another one of the guys, really smart guy, had to book in WCCW for a while, managed guys like Great Kabuki, managed, I want to say he managed Bruiser Brody for a little while. Missing Link. He managed basically all the monster heels in that territory that were going up against the Von Erichs, and then they brought him into NWA, where he managed, I think, the best thing he did in his career was when he managed the J-Tex Corporation was Buzz Sawyer, the Dragon Master, Great Muta, and Terry Funk.
Yeah, he also, but back in his world class days, he did manage Kamala, but Gino Hernandez. I think that was one of his rising stars right there. If Gino was still alive, would have lived longer than what he did, I think he would have been big.
Yeah. Gino was a guy that had the earmarkings to be a superstar, and just drugs ruined his life, which happens to a lot of guys. It happens to, a lot of my favorite wrestlers have drug issues or had drug issues, and some of them just couldn't beat the demon. Now, coming off of that, our number 4 guy is a guy that's a little bit before our time, but a guy that we respect tremendously. He was one of the main heel managers in the WWF in the 1970s, the Grand Wizard. And basically, the guy was someone they put that when they put you with him, you were a superstar. You were someone that they knew was going to go up against Bruno, go up against Bob Backlund, go up against whoever the face was at the time. He put him with guys like he was with Superstar Billy Graham for a while. He was with Jesse the Body Ventura. I mean, the guys he was with are...
You knew if you were with him as a wrestler, you weren't going to be a jobber. The only person you're going to job to is the champ.
And the sad thing of it is, he died in the early 80s before our generation and the generations after us really got to know him, because Vince would have probably brought him back and used him in some capacity.
He was a great talker. He'd have been an announcer.
Oh yeah, he was tremendous, and a great guy. One of the guys that, if you have the time to look him up, look up some of his work, look up some of the interviews he did. They're just classic stuff. And I mean, it's going on 40 years. Some of the stuff he's done, and it still holds up today.
Mm-hmm. Now our next guy, number 3, James J. Dillon, the glue of the Four Horsemen. This man here, he went from a kind of a, I'll say it, kind of a shitty wrestler. He wasn't like bad, but he just never really got over.
He was just a low card wrestler.
Yeah, he just never really got over that much. But thank God he didn't, because he became one of the greatest managers of all time. And like we were saying earlier about like Skolin and a lot of the old school guys, he actually really managed his wrestlers. He didn't just come out of the ring, take their robes off, and head to the back. This man was always part of the match. You know, especially when he would wrestle, he'd also, I've already said it before, but he'd wrestle like a manager. And that was just really awesome.
One of the best matches, I think, wrestling matches during that time that I've seen with him, I believe it was the first War Games where it's the Four Horsemen, J Dillon versus the Road Warriors, Nikita Koloff, Dusty Rhodes, and Precious Paul Ellering, where it ends up with JJ gives up to I think Dusty has him in a sleeper hold or some kind of chokehold, and he ends up giving up to him. But it was a really good worked match. He worked it kind of like he was a sissy, like he was scared.
It's the way he should have, you know.
Which brings us to our next guy, another guy that started off as a wrestler but had a lot more success as a wrestler. Our number 2 guy, Classy Freddie Blassie. One of the guys, he's one of the quarter marks, one of the foundations that the wrestling shows that you watch today are built on. He was a classic heel from anywhere from the 60s on. I mean, he was a guy that was getting stabbed at, beer thrown on him, you know, anything you could think of, the fans were doing him. That's how over he was.
And another thing too, though, just say how over he was. He was actually one of the first stars that crossed over and did network television. I mean, he was on I don't know if you ever heard the show Dick Van Dyke Show. I'm sure your parents have or whatever like that. But if you're like our age, I'm sure you've watched it on Nick at Night. He actually was on that show for an episode. I don't know if he was the WWF champion or the NWA champion at the time, because he had a belt on, but they were so small, and it was, you know, black and white television, so it was hard to distinguish anything. But that was a very big for back in that day, but it never really got noticed now.
And once he transitioned into becoming a manager, he automatically gave anybody that was under him the rub of being under Blassie, because he was such a classic guy that anybody else that was put with him just automatically went up the card because they were under Blassie. And now, before we get into the number 1,
we've had, you know, we're doing our top 10. There's a lot of guys we've missed, and I understand that. And there's some of y'all are gonna be like, why don't you say this guy? Why don't you say that guy? I mean, there's guys like Slick we've missed.
Jimmy the Mouth of South Hart.
Colonel Rob Parker. You know, there's
Paulie Dangerously. Harvey Whippleman.
There's tons of guys we missed, and we're sorry if we missed them. This is our opinion on it, and we're glad to hear your opinion.
It's not necessarily that we missed them. It's just that it's a top 10 list. We can't put 30 guys on the top 10.
No.
But if you think that someone we should have put up here is better than what we have, let us know and
put it in the comment box down below.
Down where?
Down there.
Give my spot again.
Give my spot. But
I'm not going to do that.
There we go. Sorry about that. Anyways, you know, comment on it. Let us know. But I mean, there is a lot of guys. Like I said, we didn't miss. I mean, we went over this list as hard as we could, and this is what, you know, our top 10 opinion is between the both of us. Exactly. And you know,
we had some arguments on where to put the guys, and all this comes up as a consensus between the two of us.
Mm-hmm. These are, well, if you got this guy, I'll take this guy. You know, we had, you know, made compromises on it, but I think our top 10 list is pretty. It stands up.
Yeah, it stands. I would think.
Our number 1.
The number 1 guy, who else could it possibly be? Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Of course.
The greatest manager of all time, whether it's his work with the AWA or his work with the WWF. The guy, spot on, one of the best, I would fair to say one of the best characters, manager, wrestler, anything on wrestling, in the history of wrestling.
Oh, bar none. The gentleman that we're speaking of, because I just can't speak highly of the guy. He's my favorite manager of all time. I mean, there's nobody that comes close to this guy.
I mean, he managed everybody from Nick Bockwinkel and Ray Stevens, managed Andre the Giant.
I was about to say, who else could turn Andre the Giant heel?
Exactly. Man, I mean, he was the guy, managed guys. Any guy you put in with him, coming in just like Freddie Blassie, automatically was a top-level heel. Guys like King Kong Bundy, Paul Orndorff, Mr. Perfect, they brought him in. He was their manager.
Like we were talking earlier about when there was the 3 top heel managers back in the 70s and such, Bobby pretty much took over that role himself. I mean, he had Jimmy Hart there and stuff like that
and
too.
Freddie Blassie.
And Freddie for a little bit, but Freddie, and he also had the Doctor Slick. But Bobby really was miles ahead of them guys. You take WrestleMania 3. How many times did he come to the ring?
I think it's 5 or 6. In the 9 matches they have on the show, he's out 5 times, I believe.
You know, that speaks enough for itself right there. The biggest pay-per-view of all time, and the man's out there for over 50% of the matches.
Who else could say they managed Nick Bockwinkel, Harley Race, and Ric Flair?
Enough said right there.
I mean, between the 3 of those, that's what, 40 different World Championship runs?
Yes. And how many years were those runs? You know, I mean,
exactly.
It's phenomenal. But that he's just that far ahead of everybody else.
Exactly. And you know, if you guys have anything you want to add, if there's someone you think we missed, or if you think we did the order wrong, if you have someone higher than where we have them, let us know. Put us in our comments down where?
Down there.
Gave it to you again.
That time I hit it harder.
So the first time was a strike.
No, the first time was a home run too. I'm like Hank Aaron. But
so you're dead in black?
I don't think Hank Aaron's dead, is he?
I don't know. I think he is.
But we're going to be doing another show here coming up pretty soon, and we'd like your opinion on some topics. So if you would please leave some topics down where? I'll let you do it this time.
Down there.
I see, folks. I'm so generous to give them the spot, 3 times in a row. Oh God. Even Jerry Lewis does charity, folks. But anyways, it's coming up soon.
Well, basically, it's what we're going to do is a roundtable discussion. So if any questions you want us to answer, or you'd like to hear our opinions on, leave them in the comments, leave them on our Facebook, on our Twitter, and let us know stuff that you want to hear us talk about on the show. We're not going to be anything you bring up. We're going to bring up. We don't think any idea is a stupid idea.
No.
I mean,
I wouldn't do half the shit that I do if I thought it was stupid.
Exactly. I think it's stupid, but I can't stop him.
You know, I didn't give you the one-on-one with the Undertaker today, so I mean that's how you treat me. Anyways, well, that was our top 10, folks. Do you have anything else to add?
I think that's pretty much all I got.
All right. Well, I'm Gary Rhodes.
I'm George Coles, and it's been Heel Heat, our top 10 review.